2 with the bases loaded and 1 out. Fouls it got deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. Second and walk-off home run. Grand slam, Bryce Harper.
Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yeah. He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was out the way. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We broadcast live every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Check us out on all our social media pages. Just do a search for Sports Skillet. Will pop up right there. You want to also head over to sportsskilletradio.com for all the latest show news, sports updates, Twitter feeds, awesome news popping up all the time at sportsskilletradio.com. So check us out there as well. Check us out also on our other accounts as well. Like I say, just do a search for Sports Skillet. We pop up there. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day for joining us. We appreciate it. And I am Jay. I'm joined this week by the coach Shane McGowan, Mike Nebbia, Alex Secchia, and we got Jeff Scott in the house as well. Lots of things to dive into this week. And we are going to start off with the NFL and some breaking news out of the NFL this week that pertains to the Philadelphia area. Carson Wentz went down in practice this week with a foot injury. They are having a foot specialist check him out. It appears from the latest updates that he will miss the rest of training camp, could linger on into the regular season. Carson Wentz apparently said he's going to try and play through the injury. It is not a Liz Frank injury, so that's a little bit of good news there. But it is a foot injury, and he could get it operated on. There is no timetable as of this show's airing as to when Carson Wentz will return. I'll start with Alex here. Alex, how big a blow is this to not only the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a first-round pick on the line, because if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the Colts snaps this year, Eagles receive a first-round pick. If Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps and the Colts make the playoffs, Eagles get a first-round pick. Otherwise than that, Eagles get a second rounder. How big of this blow is this to the Colts and to the Philadelphia Eagles, Alex?
I mean, it's a huge blow. I mean, you're talking about having between 2 to 3 first-round picks, or just those 2 in the second-round pick. I mean,
Yep.
Eagles fans will love to have that many first-rounders, especially with the fact that Howie Roseman really wants Deshaun Watson. It only gives him that much more ammunition to trade for a quarterback of that caliber, especially what the Texans are asking for the asking price the Texans have for Deshaun Watson. Now, for the Colts, I mean, it's an even bigger blow. That's supposed to be your guy going into the season. That's supposed to be your starting quarterback, And if this lingers on into the season, they're going to have to start off on a bad note, starting a backup quarterback, unless they trade for somebody within the next couple months, if that even happens. Who knows if that does happen? But as of right now, you're looking to start a backup going into the regular season, and no team wants to do that, especially after you just signed a guy and brought him into the organization, hoping he would be the starter going forward. But as for the Eagles standpoint, I hear a lot of fans say they're happy that he's hurt and that he's on the team no more. They're like, oh, we got rid of him. We don't have to deal with it. But you lose a first-round pick if he's certain doesn't play. So I don't think it's too much to be happy about. If I'm Eagles fans, I want a first-round pick.
Oh, definitely. And what did you think about this, Shane?
No, I mean, just like everything Alex said, I mean, you've got a lot to lose, you know what I mean, in this. And as for Colts fans, you know what I mean, you got a lot to lose. There's no question. They brought him in for a reason, and specifically to get this team moving forward like they thought they could with a more experienced. Now, we talked earlier and said that this possibly could have has a tendency of going down. There's no question about that. All right. During the as we said, preseason here before we even get, can they fix it fast enough?
Shane, you're hopping in and out.
So I mean, that's something that I think they're definitely looking at right now, and we'll see what happens from there as we move forward. But the NFL at this particular time. But I do think that they said something else in the near future here.
Shane, you were hopping in and out. Can you repeat that? Oh, I think we may be having some technical difficulties with Shane. Shane, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Jeff Scott, I'll go to you. Can you hear me?
Jeff, we can hear you.
There, that'll probably help, White.
Yeah, hey! We are technically advanced here on Sports Skillet.
Well, just got to remember to turn my mic on every outlet. So yeah, he's probably having internet issues. So
yeah, he probably has Bell Media for internet.
Yeah. So my take on the whole Carson Wentz thing is I'm very disappointed in him. I mean, they brought him over. The coach took a chance on him, and he's not living up to what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to take him all the way to the playoffs, then hurt himself, and let an up-and-comer take him to the Super Bowl and win. He's screwing up the formula. What is he doing? He's not supposed to hurt himself before he even plays. It makes you think he's just
a curse.
Yeah, he took the curse back. Him. Yeah. He hurt Foles.
For the Colts, might I suggest going to a psychic to try and remove that curse? Oh, wait, they're scams.
I mean, realistically, the way I look at it is I have a question. This would be more for Shane or for anyone really here. You want to talk about messing up the formula. What does it say with the Eagles? If you backtrack a year ago, Carson Wentz gets his deal. He's signed. Nick Foles leaves after winning the Super Bowl. All right, Carson Wentz, your threat's gone. This is your team now. You got your contract. Second round happens, and the Eagles draft a quarterback. That's too early to draft a quarterback if I'm supposed to be the future. Then you get benched for this quarterback later on in the ground or later on in the season. And now there's talks about a potential QB switch. Now your job's threatened after you signed. Now you have a lot of backroom problems with the team. Now you're gone. Jalen Hurts steps up. Jalen Hurts does not have a full season under his belt. He just won the job. But now, before the season starts, Eagles are already attacking for Deshaun Watson. What does this say about the Eagles organization up top and most likely their loyalty, especially with Howie Roseman, to some of their quarterbacks? Because what is this? This question is more for Shane. But what is this going to do to Jalen Hurts mentally going into the season? This is supposed to be your team now, and they're already trying to trade for a quarterback who right now has a lot of allegations against him. Who knows if he'll even play?
Yeah, this is true. And, I mean, but you look at it from Howie Roseman's standpoint, too. Howie Roseman was, when they went out and drafted Jalen as their Jalen Hurts as their quarterback, Howie Roseman was looking at it from the standpoint of Carson Wentz got hurt in college. Carson Wentz then got hurt as starting quarterback from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's had to go out and play the backup, the number 2 quarterback for, some would say, significant playing time over the past few years since Carson Wentz became the starter. I think what Howie Roseman was looking at it as, I got to have somebody in there that I can trust to play significant time as a backup quarterback, somebody that can come in and play significant snaps. That's why they went out and used the second-round pick on Jalen Hurts, I believe, just so they could have a reliable backup, a young, reliable backup that can learn from Carson Wentz. I think they liked Carson. They wanted to move forward with Carson as their starting quarterback. That's why they paid him that amount of money. But when Carson Wentz, I think, lost some of the team when he got benched, or lost the coaching staff when he got benched for Jalen Hurts last season, just because of his bad play. You couldn't continue to run him out there and suffer loss after loss after loss. You know, you had to try something a little different. That's why Doug Peterson went to Jalen Hurts to try something different last year, be it good, bad, or otherwise, and get Hurts some experience and then make a decision on what they wanted to do with Wentz. They got the offer that they wanted to for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz wanted to go to the Colts so that he could be reunited with his former quarterback's coach in Frank Reich and hopefully have a better team around him. So he goes there, and now he gets hurt. And like our commenter said, Wentz injury affects way more than just Wentz, and I agree with that. It affects the Eagles. It affects the Colts. I mean, it could affect that whole division, because now all of a sudden with Wentz out, who knows, you know, if he misses, who knows how many games in the regular season because he has this operation. Maybe he misses the first, 2-3 games of the regular season. Maybe the Colts start out 0-3. And maybe that division is affected. Maybe a team rises up. Maybe a team like the Titans rise up and because of Wentz's injury, takes the division. What do you think, Shane?
Well, that's the Titans division anyway, in my opinion.
You think so? You think,
I
Shane?
think so.
What? Exactly. I mean, I think the Titans have that division. I even with a healthy Wentz in there, I think they can play and grind out the game the way they like to and stuff. But I mean, when it comes down to it, you know, this is next few weeks we're going to figure out exactly what Wentz is going to do, and I don't think he wants to procrastinate this either. I mean, it's like, if I got to get the surgery, I got to get done fast, and that's it. You know what I mean? And move forward with this, because like I said, it's affecting everybody, everything, including his play. A lot. I mean, he wanted to get out of Philly and everything like that. The last thing he wants is this, you know, stigma on him that being the most injured quarterback always and stuff. So I think he's going to do his very best to get himself moving and whatever can work. If it hear them saying that if it'd be a couple of weeks and then a couple of weeks of rehabilitation too and stuff. So yeah, it's a good month plus. But again, we'll see what they come up with. I believe it's probably going to be this week. We'll hear more about this.
Yeah. Yep. And Alex, you brought up an interesting point too. The Eagles have been rumored to be one of the teams that's in on trading for the disgruntled Houston Texans quarterback. You said that this could affect that trade as well.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Texans won a lot for Deshaun Watson. They won a lot. So, you know, will they take a second-round pick? Potentially. I don't see why not. You might have to throw Jalen Hurts in there because they won't have a quarterback, but then you're going to leave the Eagles with one quarterback. So it's a risky thing. It's weird. I know the Texans wanted a couple first-rounders and 2 positional players, or they wanted high draft picks and positional players. So it affects the trade in a big way. You know, it's, like I said before, it's the difference between having 2 to 3 first-round draft picks. You know, you can either pocket 1, send the other 2, and a guy away for Deshaun Watson, and then use that pick to grab another player you might need or something that you might trade away for. You know, I personally like Deshaun Watson. I think he's a great skill set. I think it'd be a good trade for the Eagles to make. You know, if they trade 2 first-rounders, positional player, send it over, get Deshaun, use your other pick. If you pocket the first round, if even Carson Wentz plays, see, this is what ifs. That's hypothetical right there. We don't know if we're going to get the first round now because he's already hurt. See, so I'm banking on him to play if I'm an Eagles fan, so I can have that first-round pick, so it can work out more towards my favor. Because if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm happy this team's going for Deshaun Watson. Hoping he plays, it could be a really good thing for the Eagles, you know?
Now, Alex, there's been a lot of play on Philly radio and social media out of Philadelphia that the fans don't want any part of Deshaun Watson. The fans are saying, keep Deshaun Watson in Texas, trade him somewhere else. We don't want to deal with all this baggage that comes with Deshaun Watson, that he may get suspended by the NFL, but he's just this bad guy. 22 charges that are against him. I mean, no criminal charges yet, but all this legal stuff. He's a bad guy. How would you respond to the Philadelphia fan base that are up in arms? We don't want any part of Deshaun Watson.
Let's remember how this conversation with Deshaun Watson got started to begin with. It was a viral trend because Deshaun Watson released a tweet about the situation that no one knew what was happening, and it was a trending topic on First Take and ESPN, and everyone was questioning what Deshaun Watson was talking about in this tweet, and they were trying to figure out assumptions and figure out things because he had released a tweet with nothing out about Deshaun Watson, which means he got ahead of the problem before anyone else did. So who really does that? This guy's had no track record in college. He's had no problems throughout the NFL up until this point. And do you find it coincidental that it's after he's trying to leave the team? He's trying to leave the team. He's unhappy with ownership. He was supposed to be their savior. He was supposed to be everything, and he walks out. The lawyer, Tony Busby, said, this is not about a settlement or about money, but yet Deshaun Watson's attorney's office countered back saying, well, this is your statement before everything started. You demand a 6-figure settlement, or we take this publicly. So there's that right there. You have one lawyer saying, hey, this isn't about money, but the other lawyers come back saying, hey, well, you did ask for money to keep this hush-hush, and you denied it. So what does that say for the people coming after Deshaun Watson? Huh? Oh, we're not doing it for this, but we're still going to ask for it, We're still going to ask for it. What does it say about the player who's getting ahead of it? You didn't see Ezekiel Elliott get ahead of it. You didn't see Ray Rice get ahead of it. You didn't see Peyton Manning get ahead of it back when he had his Tennessee allegations, and she took the settlement. She took the $300,000 settlement. You didn't see a lot of these players get ahead of it. They let everyone else handle it for them, but Deshaun went right to Twitter. That speaks volumes. That speaks a lot of volumes to come out and say something before anyone else did.
True. Now, Alex, do you think it says anything, too, that Deshaun Watson wants everything to be out in the open? He doesn't want any kind of non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
That Deshaun Watson says, I don't want this, but the lawyer for the women are saying, no, we want it to be kept hush-hush.
Yeah, because why do you want to keep hush-hush? Why are you taking him to civil court? If these are real cases, why is he going to civil court? Why is he not getting the biggest punishment possible? Why are they going after him for the biggest punishment possible? And you're taking him to a civil court. The civil courts happen with what, like business deals and stuff like that, minor, like
business deals happen on Judge Judy.
Like, come on, why are you taking him to a civil court? If these really happen, you're going to above in the walls. You're taking him to the thing. And Deshaun's trying to keep it open. What happened when Tom Brady had his allegations about the Deflategate and he wouldn't release his phone? Everyone had a riot that he wouldn't release his phone and show text messages. And then the phone got destroyed. Everyone had a riot. Yeah. But Deshaun Watson's keeping everything public. You can't satisfy people nowadays. He's doing everything to show he has nothing to hide because he's innocent.
Yeah, true.
Everyone's innocent to proven guilty. I've heard many Eagles fans say they want Deshaun Watson. I hear mixed. But I've heard more say they want him more than they don't want him. But the way I look at it is I've never seen a player get ahead of a situation before and be open about keeping everything public. He has nothing to hide. He's trying to show that. If that doesn't tell you I'm innocent, what else does? What can tell you that he's innocent? I want to put everything on the table. You won't have a question hiding anything from me. But why do you guys have something to hide? If you really are truthful about what happened, you have nothing to hide. You're going to put everything out there to show that he's innocent. He's guilty, I mean. You're going to do everything you can. But why won't you? Why did you demand the settlement, but then say this isn't about money? Come on. Yeah. Is it a coincidence that the Tony Busby's the neighbor of the manager of the Texans? Oh, come on.
Yeah, Jeff, you look like you were going to raise a good point there.
Well, the thing I was wanted to point out is, yeah, I believe in innocent until proven guilty, and I agree with you completely on that, Alex. The other thing that I want to look at too is someone that gets ahead of a story. That's another tactic also, and you have to take that into account because you have all these allegations out there, and some people would rather just take a settlement than have to go through a trial, be put out into the public, have their story thrown out there because you have, a life after all that. And a lot of people just don't see that because take I'm just going to bring up a political point, Monica Lewinsky. We all know
Oh
who
no, I
she
lived
is
through
now.
that.
We know why. It's never going to go away, and that's what a lot of people, when they are put into this type, if it's true, if they're put in that situation, they have to deal with that with their own inner conflict and their own trauma from it. And some of them don't want to have that out in the world. They'd rather just see something done. Okay, he has to pay a big fine. Okay, he was a bad boy, whatever. And I just want to get on with my life. And I told my story to the right people. It's not out in the public, and some people have to deal with that, and they have to hold on to that, whether it's true or not. We'll never know because I know this is going to sound weird. That is none of our business. It's whether or not it does turn out to be true, and if it does come out that he did do these things, he should be punished for it, but not the people that are coming out speaking out about it.
Yeah.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it's a two-edged sword, and I see where you're coming from too. If there's nothing to hide, yeah, but you have to take in their mental state too on it. Sometimes some people just can't handle being in the spotlight, especially with a high profile. It's all a mental thing. I mean,
I get it, but it's just how I don't know. I mean, there's too many people filing for not one person to be at least one person to be brave enough to step up, and one
true, but
person.
it
Go
could
ahead.
also be 22 people are out there. How many of those 22 are actually legit people? Out of 22, now you have 20 people. People will come on and say, "Oh, they're lying." So guess what? You two must be lying too. So you're full of stuff. So and I don't think they want to
Yeah.
deal. They know their story. They know it's true. And if there are people out there in the woodwork coming out saying, "I just want the money. I'm going to make up a bunch of bull," and try to jump on
Yeah.
the train. There's also that factor too, and a lot of people can't. It's like, I went through this trauma. I can't deal with this, and now I got these people over here saying stuff, and I don't even know if they're true or not, which reflects on me trying to get my story out there or my truth out there, and it's like a big blender, and if it's not done right, it's going to be a big mess.
Well, I even read one article where one of the masseuses did walked into the room not knowing it was Deshaun they were going to be working on until they walked into the room and saw he was there, and they said how they had a prior instance with him, but still continued to work on him because they were quote unquote fear for their job, which I get to an extent, but at the same time, if you had a prior instance with Deshaun, and if this is true, why not walk out the room and grab your manager, grab a higher up or something, and say, hey, like I can't do this. Why?
And
Can't
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's like that anywhere you go. Like you can have a bad employee or a bad customer come in. Let's say you're a hairstylist. Someone comes in, you give them a bad haircut one week. They complain about it or do something and make you look bad. They leave. You say something to your boss. Then they come back again. Well, you're going to try to be as professional as you possibly can. But depending on what type of situation happened previously, like was it over flirting? Was he being touchy, or was it,
touchy.
stuff like that? Like it all depends on the and back me up on this, Shane. If I'm wrong, let me know. The aggression level, like how bad was it? Was he like lightly flirting, touching because you're a masseuse, that type of thing, or was it like, you know, like hands on grab type, like what was the level, and was she really thrown off by it, or was she at one point like, you know what, it's okay, it's a one time thing, and then it happens again. Okay, I'm going to be so professional, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to go in, do my job, and get out, and then it happens again. I mean, there's that whole mentality of whether it will or not. Do you want to take a chance or not take a chance? It's like a lot of these situations happen because a person wants to be professional, and try to just do their job because, like you said, they're not sure how their manager is going to take it. Here's Deshaun Watson. It's like, oh, you wouldn't let him, caress your back. What's wrong with you? There's also that mentality too with how is your employer going to react to you? I mean, a good employer will say, no, we're going to go after him. He'd be supporting his employees as a good manager should. But let's face it, we all have managers out there that are not so good. So,
yeah, Shane, what do you think?
No, look at. There's always two sides to a story.
Always,
right? And the bottom line too is that, and this has happened numerous times in other athletes' lives as well, is that guess what? Others have conspired to get back at them by saying, hey, you know what? I know who this person is. They make a lot of money. It's a lot easier for me to make some accusations, get paid off as well, and walk out with a good 6 figures. You know what I mean? What do I care if I'm just a masseuse or a massage or whatever else like that? There's a lot of people that'll take that easy road too, and they can get away with it for a little hush money, as they call it, and play the game, play the system, right? Then there's also the fact that, yes, possibly Deshaun did overstep what was actually supposed to be happening there at that time. But the thing is, like Alex has brought up too, and everyone else, is that Deshaun has said, listen, let's make this come out in public. Let's talk about this. Let me hear all these accusations from the people that are accusing me, but they don't want to come out. They're not really necessarily coming out with their names, with all these other things like that to say, hey, you know what? Let's go to court. Let's figure this out. No, they just kind of sort of skirting away and hiding a little bit because they don't want to in some ways too. So my point is, there's two sides to this. It's now figuring out, though, where the balance is in between. You know what I mean? Neither one of them can honestly say they didn't do something wrong. Okay, they did. They both parties, I believe, honestly did something wrong. But again, too, does that make Deshaun necessarily a bad person? Right? I mean, his talents are great. He can benefit being on a team and everything. But like I said, did he make some goofy ass mistakes here? And he probably shouldn't have done what he did. No different than how Antonio Brown and a lot of others have done some goofy ass things too. They're still playing in the league. They're still making their money, and they go under the radar. Big Ben and all these others. So like I said, it's going to get worked out. Right now, he's got to do what he's got to do to be in camp. He will probably be traded, no question about it. It just depends on how much people are willing to put up to trade him and get him, to another facility and a place to play. The other thing, though, too, is that even if he does get traded, I think this is still going to be a question mark that was brought up. Does he go on the list of the NFL and saying, well, hold on here, you still might be 4 games, 8 game suspension too, and stuff like that because of your conduct. So there's still some of that I think some teams are also kind of going, do I really want to grab him right now? And the Eagles are all for it. And know that he can't play for possibly 6, maybe 8 games, you know what I mean? Half the season as an example even.
Do it.
Right? So there is that risk factor that we got to look at that teams will look at.
And it's crazy because the Eagles are still highly, highly interested. And if you know what, on them, pull the trigger. Because guess what? I don't know if everyone else agrees with me, but in my opinion, I feel like that's the Washington football team's division, at least of this year. The defense is too strong, too powerful. It's too hungry. Dak Prescott's coming off this foot injury. You don't know how good he's going to be, okay? The Giants, Saquon's coming back. We'll see how he does. We'll see how this team pans out, all right? This will be Jalen Hurts' first starting season as a quarterback, and it's always a different story than just coming in midseason, stepping on the field for a few games or filling in for a few downs or, starting a game here and there. It's always a different story. Okay, I would pull the trigger on Deshaun Watson, but that's me. That's me being me. All right. If I'm the Eagles, why not? You have nothing. I guess you have something to lose. I don't know. Do the Eagles really have anything to lose on pulling this trigger?
Well, depends on what they have to give up.
Listen to what Shane said. Perfectly hit on the head when he said Antonio Brown, Big Ben. They're also playing swept on the rug. It's going to go through. He'll play. Think about the longevity. Okay, you missed 4 games. You tank this season. You tanked last season. Nothing's new. Think longevity. Deshaun Watson as your quarterback going forward? You wouldn't like that? The difference between Deshaun Watson and Jalen Hurts is Deshaun Watson has proven himself. He's took a team to the playoffs. He has the experience. You know, Jalen Hurts has to prove himself. You got to take a chance on that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying I would do it. The longevity of Deshaun Watson on your team, and if you could build around him, it's a problem.
True, they would have the best quarterback within the division. I do grant you that, Alice. And true enough, if you get Deshaun and he's put on the commissioner's list and he misses 6, 7, 8 games, half the season, you still end up with Deshaun Watson for half the season.
Right.
Well, also remember, if you get Deshaun Watson, you also have to hire his mother to keep him in line because, and that's a lot more money because he's going to be acting out. His mom's going to come in there like, get back in line and do your job.
Listen, Deshaun, in my opinion, isn't that go for any team. The Eagles, at this rate, why not go for it? And let's say for the small factor, you don't have to trade Jalen Hurts because you're giving this team first-round picks. So they could use the first-rounders to go get a quarterback, even though next year probably isn't going to be the best year for quarterbacks. But hear me out. Let's say you get away with keeping Jalen. All right, we bring Deshaun in, we keep Jalen. You get 2 positional players from us, whether it's Travis Fulgham and a defensive player or something like that. Hypothetically speaking, but you give him the 2 first-rounders and maybe the second-rounder. I don't know. Howie's said he's willing to give up everything. So he might be the guy to give up all 3 firsts if Carson plays, or the first, and the second. Who knows? But let's say it happens, you keep Jalen Hurts. Okay, and Deshaun's suspended. Now you see what Jalen Hurts is made of for that half of the season.
Yeah.
You got nothing to lose. Pull the trigger.
That's true, and he is a very good quarterback, probably top 5 in the NFL.
Probably top 5 for sure. I sound biased, but who top 5 for sure?
Yeah, I mean,
Brees is gone.
That's true. Very true.
I have a hard time not agreeing with you, Alex, because you are absolutely right. He is good, and he would benefit a lot if they just snagged him up.
I think you have Eagles. You have nothing to lose. Eagles fans that say they don't want him, you sound dumb because you guys are the same one saying you're happy Carson Wentz is hurt, and you're not going to get a first-round pick. So it sounds like they don't know what they're talking about or what they want. No offense, Eagles fans.
Truthfully, I think they're just waiting to find out what the outcome of everything is going to be before they jump on something, and then all of a sudden now you have a media stream of negativity coming onto you. It's like, oh, you just picked this guy up. It turned out to be true. Hopefully, it's not. I mean, I'm like with you guys, innocent until proven guilty. I'm hoping he's not.
The internet remains undefeated. They will make memes regardless of what happens.
Oh yeah.
This is true.
Sickening there, Alex.
That's true. The other news out of Eagles camp is their first round draft pick wide receiver Devontae Smith ends up going down with a apparent leg injury. Eagles are kind of being hush-hush about it. They're not being real specific about the injury, other than saying they're not really too concerned about it. Alex, would you be concerned about it?
Yeah, that's my first round draft pick. That's a Heisman. That's supposed to be a positional player, my top dog. What happens when he goes down and you're back to the same receivers, the same core that you complained about last year? Oh, we ain't got no weapons. We're throwing to nobody. You're right back to square one. Yeah, I'm worried. First round, 10th pick, Heisman Trophy winner. You need this guy healthy. This is the same thing that happened last year with Jalen Reagor. Granted, no one wanted Reagor. They wanted Justin Jefferson, and the Eagles made a stun call, but he was out for, See, here's my thing, and it goes back to the Deshaun Watson thing. Everyone they grab either gets hurt. Yeah, you're nothing to lose at this point. Go for him. But anyway, I'm worried. Your first-round pick, who's supposed to be a great asset to this offense, a great high target, is now hurt. What happens if this is a season-ending injury, right? That would be that's more appropriate to say, right? Like if let's say it's really bad and he can't play for the season. But I'm pretty sure if it was that bad, we would have known about it because it would have been a highlight. So it can't be that. But what if he misses the first 3-4 weeks? Eagles fans won't be happy. Our first-round pick's already missing games. He's missing so many games.
They haven't said about how long he's going to be out. It just happened yesterday. Eagles are off today. They'll start practicing again tomorrow on Monday. So they haven't said – they've been kind of hush-hush other than saying it was a leg injury. He didn't return to practice. So they've been kind of a little cagey about saying what type of – it could be a muscle strain, muscle pull that kept him out. But they haven't been real specific about the injury. And hopefully we still have Shane there. Shane, are you still there?
Shane?
I think he might have stepped away real quick because he muted his mic and stuff. But
okay.
It happened yesterday, but it's still never a good sign. It's almost like the center they drafted to help replace Jason Kelce. He steps out, but he already had an injury. He was already hurt. Injuries are never a good thing, especially when you're young, especially when you're just coming out. You don't want to see the injury list pile up. You don't want to see that track record forming. You need these guys healthy. Listen, the moment this guy's already hurt, you don't know the extent of the injury. We don't know yet. So let's say, hypothetically, if this guy was hurt that bad, we would have known about it. So I don't care if it just happened yesterday. You would have known he tore his ACL, he broke something.
Yeah.
It would have been boom everywhere. So I'm assuming he misses maybe the first or second week. This injury seems like it happened. All right, you're hurt. Before we blow this out of proportion, let's really see if you're okay. It sounds like he might continue. But the only thing I'm looking at is you don't want this injury to be something that if this guy gets hit in the preseason, let alone the regular season, it can re-aggravate or get worse.
I agree with you. And Shane, I'll go with you with this. Eagles are being real cagey about Devonta Smith's injury, other than saying it was a leg injury. Do you think teams should be more open about discussing injuries? Because by leaving it kind of open-ended the way they did, that leads to more and more speculation, especially on the internet and social media, about how bad the injury is. Shouldn't the Eagles have come out and specifically said, this is the injury, he'll miss 2 or 3 practices, and that'll be about it? Shouldn't teams be more open about disclosing players' injuries?
After they find out.
Yeah, I mean, look, after they know the full diagnosis of everything like that, they should be. I mean, there's no question about it that they should be able to come out and say, listen, he's got the knee is inflamed, possibly torn meniscus or ACL or Achilles or quad tear or something like this, shoulder strains, things like that. Just like what they did with Dak after, right? You know what I mean? He went off with shoulder soreness. Then they came back after and said with the MRI and things like that. So they're pretty fast at getting that a little bit out. Eagles seem to have that problem of keeping very close to the body here of not disclosing. And to me, I think, like I said, that does put so much speculation to everybody's mind, especially the media in Philly, of saying, holy smokes, like what are you doing out there? Like what's happening? And is this guy okay? Is he not okay? You know what I mean? So like I said, I do believe, and I've always believed that the teams, after they know exactly what's going on, come out and say, this is what's going on with so-and-so. Maybe dehydration, just cramps. You know what I mean? And that's it, right? Type of thing like that. And we'll be back and up and running in 2 days or something like this. But they should be giving us a lot more information instead of you having to speculate, dig, and actually start in some ways even tearing up the team because of certain things too. You know what I mean? So I think they'd save themselves a lot of headaches if they just be more upfront.
I agree. I totally agree with you on that.
I agree. And especially since sports gambling is so huge and there's a lot of fantasy football owners. I mean, we all know teams and players don't care about fantasy football, but the players play too. So let's ease up when people say that. But, between the fantasy football, the amount of gambling, the amount of money that's involved behind the scenes and stuff, these guys need to come out right away and, make fights. I know Shane can attest to this one, back when Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. And when the fight was over and in the press conference, Pacquiao said, he had a little bit of shoulder injury. A lot of gamblers are really upset. Hey, how did this clear the fighting protocol? Last night when I was covering the event in Newark, the third fight of the night was actually stopped first round about 2 minutes in, or I can't remember the exact time frame, but the fighter stopped the fight because of an injury he sustained before the fight, apparently. And he had it called off, and I think the fighter's name was Michael Anderson. He won that fight by TKO. He didn't seem too happy about it, but those are the things that people need to be made aware of because people can lose money. Gamblers are losing money, behind the scenes. These are not to mention your fan base. It's respect to your fan base. These guys are funding your paychecks by buying your jerseys, buying the game tickets, buying preseason tickets, buying all the memorabilia, the merchandise. They deserve to hear what's happening with the players that they want, what's happening with the people that are on their team that they hoped for, that they rooted for, all that stuff. There is that credibility there to them,
It's funny is that, like I said, is in this day and age where you want to have the injury reports out and everything like this, but you've got these teams, especially when we start getting into the season and they're playing the same thing and saying, probable, questionable, all these things like that. And so you're trying to figure out, well, do I take this person in my picks this week or not? You know what I mean? The problem, though, is that these coaches and teams are thinking, well, I'm going to pull a fast one on who we're playing against. I'm going to let that be a whole surprise. So you got to prepare for them not playing, but then all of a sudden they jump out there and play. You know what I mean? And all these other silly things like that. Instead of just kind of saying, hey, look, this is what's happening. Yes, they will play. They're banged up or whatever. We all know everyone's going to be banged up throughout the entire seasons and things like that. But the bottom line is when it comes to injuries right now in camps, right, you should be disclosing and letting us know exactly what is going on and what is happening on a media aspect wise, as well as on the fan base wise too for these teams.
Right.
And that leads me, and Shane, I'll talk to you about this one. That leads directly into this other story that just broke about within the NHL. They are going to investigate the allegation that San Jose Sharks Evander Kane bet on his own games. Story posted to ESPN. The NHL said it will investigate an allegation seemingly made by Evander Kane's wife that the San Jose Sharks forward bet on his own games and has intentionally tried to lose for a profit. Shane, how big of a story do you think this is going to wind up being?
This is going to be huge. I mean, as soon as you get put in that aspect of gambling, all right, and B, gambling not only on your team, yourself, but for you to lose, you just open up a whole can. This is like this is like a Pete Rose. I mean, this is just going crazy again.
Oh, jeez, Shane.
And make, like I said, this is what you're going to get, and it's going to happen. And you have also got a disgruntled wife involved in this too, who's going to make even more waves for you. You know what I mean? In this day and age, and look at Evander does not have exactly a spotless track record by all means. This man is full of himself, caused a lot of problems, a lot of headaches, been traded from our teams up here way back in the day because he couldn't get along with his own teammates. So like I said, things are coming about, and I do believe that he probably did do some of these things without a question of a doubt, because that is who he's been known for in the league on certain things. He loves his Vegas routine. He has a gambling problem. He has these things. Well, guess what? Now it's all coming out because your wife has said this is what's going down. You know what I mean? So yeah, the league is going to investigate, and I'll say this right now, they will find something. They are going to find something on him. There's no question about it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Okay, Shane, this, you took the words right out of my mouth. This has the potential to be Pete Rose, but way worse. I've been talking with one of my hockey fan friends, Kim Moisa, IslesGirl3 on Twitter, and this is just a whole can of worms being opened up. We talked about Pete Rose a lot when we talk baseball. This is Pete Rose, but 10 times worse. They're going to find something, and they may just ban Evander Kane from hockey outright.
If you're found guilty, of course. I mean, you have a code. You have a player's conduct, just like every sport does in major leagues. And there is no way Bettman is going to allow any of this without suspensions of some type of things, or, like you said, worst case scenario, being ex-nayed from the actual league. It depends on the severity of what he has done. And I think that's what I mean. So once they start filtering down and looking at things of where he's possibly gambled. And if she has more evidence of certain things like that, well, then yeah, it's not going to look good.
Then it's going to explode. It's going to explode into a Pete Rose Mach 2.
If I'm a teammate, I would never want to play with this guy. If I'm a player, I don't want to play with this guy. Get him out the league. What? You bet on your team to lose?
That's what I mean.
And you threw the game? Listen, it's a different story if you bet on your team to win. Hey, babe, go put money on us. We're going to win this game.
Sure.
Put money here. That's different. Floyd Mayweather did that every fight. Like, he'll have his people go in the casino and bet. And he was open about it. He's like, yeah, I made $350 million. I made $100 million here. The rest is off gambling. He was open about it. And no one cared because he was winning. Even though you control,
he was a surefire shot to win every single fight.
Control. Yeah. I would say he was a sure fight. You just knew he was going to win because I feel like anything can happen. There's always a fighter's chance. But with Floyd, it's different. But in the team sport, you can't really control the outcome. You
can control your play.
You can control your play.
Exactly. And if that puck comes to me and I decide to flub on it and give it away, and they score, wow. Bad on me. I get in trouble. But guess what? I won $100,000 because I let that crap happen too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your play. It's a different story when you're the only person in the ring and you control that outcome whether you lose. But you go and bet on your team to lose? Who does that?
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. So that's what I'm saying is depending on how far these allegations go and the proof that they can actually find, because they will dig into this because they have the resources and the money to do it. They're not going to let this slide. You can't. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's I feel like it's honestly such a so unreal type of thing that the fact that it's even said, I'm looking at him in the locker room like, dude, don't even talk to me. Like, go home. Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why is Evander Kane even in the league if he's going to gamble on his own team to lose? Pete Rose never gambled on his own team. The only thing he did to affect his team winning or losing was playing the game.
Yeah, but he did bet on his team to win, Mike. I mean, and he also bet on his team as a manager. And as a manager, you can control the lineup. You can control who you're bringing in, what pitchers you're bringing in. So, you can't – when you're in a position to affect the outcome of a game, be it winning or losing. Now, granted, when you bet on your team to win, you're going to be making certain moves so that your team wins. But you're still making certain moves during that game, which could affect games down the line as well. If I'm betting on my team to win, I'm going all out. I'm bringing in my closer. I'm bringing in, keep my starters in the lineup. If I don't have a wager on the game, then maybe I'm managing the game a little bit differently. So you are affecting the outcome of the game.
Yeah, but I feel like every team plays to. See, that's a weird thing.
But
I know
Evander Kane's doing this as a player. Pete Rose never did that as a player.
That we know of.
But I you can't prove that. I will if you
if his wife is able to prove it, Evander Kane's done.
Listen.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a weird thing though, because I feel like you're always playing to win, so it's almost like I'm not saying it's a good thing. Go ahead and bet on your team because people probably still do it now. You just never know; they're not getting caught. You never know, especially in duel. You create a random account and you put a random username, have your cousin go and put money in for you. There's so much happening right now. So many ways to gamble that these players are probably definitely making money on the side through gambling. And I'm not gonna say all of them, but you never know. You can't tell me some of them aren't. But I mean, as far as when you bet on your team to win, I feel like every team's playing to win. You're always you never see the Yankees pull Derek Jeter. Yo, Jeter, come on out. Just rest up. Unless they're beating the team by like 10 runs, and then you're like, all right, there's no way we blow this lead.
That was a common occurrence with Jeter.
There's no way we blow this lead. Like, you're not gonna just duck your players. You're always gonna put your closer in when the game's close. You're gonna try and get those wins. Now, whether or not you're betting on the team to win by like 10 points or 10 runs or, that's a different story. I don't know. I feel like you can't. You can control as much as you can. It's hard for me with team sports. I don't know. I don't know. But people do it. I feel like people, even to today's date, still do it. Someone has a random FanDuel account that their cousin owns, and the player slides them here. Oh, here's $5,000. Go put it here.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I think there are going to be more stories like this coming out in the future. Don't you agree, Shane?
Without a doubt. I mean, especially if you get a disgruntled wife or somebody like this.
I saw an article that said Julio Jones, I think it was Roddy White, are getting sued because they had a marijuana deal or they had a deal with a company and they took it and sold it on the black market.
Mm-hmm.
You mean tell me these players aren't gambling behind people's backs? Come on.
Most definitely. I mean, and that's the thing is not only do you have family or friends or whoever that are saying, hey, what do you expect? Are you going to be touching the ball a lot this week, do you think? Should I take the prop on you? And so on and so on, right?
They, oh, my God.
Yeah.
If my cousin was if my uncle was in the NFL, hey, Unc, am I picking the today? What's going to happen?
And why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you look at it? And so this is just how it is. It's the same old story as, hey, if you don't get caught, well, you don't get caught. But I'm going
to ask Shane this question because truthfully, I don't know, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying the wrong thing. But is it really the end of the end of what's the word? What's the saying I'm looking for? Like, is it really the? I don't know what it's called. I just lost it. But is it really like the end of the world? There we go. Is it the end of the world if like they do that? Yo, put money on us to win. Or something like that. Like, is it really? I don't know.
No.
Like, I honestly don't know. But I feel like it is the biggest deal.
I think first off, if you are betting on yourself, you're betting on yourself to win as a champion. You're betting on yourself, your team to go the distance and be champions. You're putting that motivation on yourself to do well and everything like that because you believe you can do this. Exactly. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't even be playing in the league.
Exactly, because you're always going to bet on yourself no matter what, whether you're actually putting physical money on it or not. And if anyone, because here's my thing, and I had this argument with people before, but like whenever I get in sports arguments, I get real passionate. We're going at it, and people are like, "Oh, well, you're just a terrible person for thinking that." I'm like, "How?" Because Floyd Mayweather did it his whole career, but no one has a problem with it.
Right.
And you control the outcome in boxing because you're the only guy in there.
Yep.
It's literally a moment, but like when you're Odell Beckham, yo, put money on us. We're gonna win this game. I don't know, Odell. You can't control You can't control how your defense plays.
Right, and that's the whole thing is you can't control how the whole team plays. You can control what you're doing and things like this. But the fact of the matter is that I don't see it being anything wrong if you're going to say I'm betting on myself to win. Right. I want my team to win. And you know what? Alex, go bet $100 on us to win this week because we're going to.
And guess what? You know what happens? I guarantee you, when he slides his brother, his uncle, it says, "Yo, you can pick me for FanDuel. I'm gonna ball out. You can pick me for this or pick the team to win. And if they don't win, yeah, bro, my bad. Here's what you lost."
The only thing that you're going to get into a little bit of controversy is, and this has been brought up too, is saying, okay, all right, I got to take 2 receivers, so I'm taking you. What do you know about the other guy on the other team? Is he injured? Because he looks a little limp. You can't kind of say, no, don't take him because he is banged up. Like, you know what I mean? Now you're playing a little bit of a dangerous game when it comes to some of this stuff like that too. Yeah. You get what I mean? When it comes to inside, it's like inside trading, inside betting, you know what I mean? So there's a fine line between where athletes have to say, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know anything about what's going on with others. I only know about myself and my team. If you play yourself smart like this, really, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. But if you're giving away a little bit of info, and I know sports media does that at times, people have said, "Hey, I've gotten wind in the locker room that so and so ain't doing so good. I don't know if you want to bet on them." Well, it is what it is, right? But
yep, this is true. And Mike, while we still got a little bit of time there, MLB trading deadline went down this week. How do you think the Mets did?
The Mets showed up their middle infield with the acquisition of Javier Baez. Now, there was speculation that the Mets would acquire Baez after Francisco Lindor came out and said, "I want to see Baez on the team again. I want to see Baez alongside me again." Now, Baez and Lindor have history together. They played for Team Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. Guess what? Now they're on the same team again, playing in Queens. Granted, the Mets did have to give up a couple of minor league prospects to get Baez, but we're about to see if it was worth it. We saw a little bit of what Baez has in store for the Mets last night as he clubbed a 2-run homer in just his second at bat as a New York Met. So we'll just see if he ends up being Yoenis Cespedes 2.0 in his first few at bats as a Met.
So you think the Mets did okay?
Yeah,
Gotcha. I
they
think
got pitching depth, and they got an infield bat.
Gotcha. I think the Yankees did okay as well, nailing a few players too. One of them from the Chicago Cubs to play first base. So I think the Yankees did well. Phillies kind of did what the Phillies do. They played it 50-50. Went out, got a returning shortstop, got a reliever, got a starting pitcher. Everybody was very mediocre about what the Phillies did during the trade deadline. Alex, wanted to bring you back on. What do you think the Yankees? How do you grade what the Yankees did at the Major League Baseball trade deadline?
No, dude. Every time I get asked about the Yankees, I talk to my grandfather. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you won't know until the season starts, because at the same time, look what happened when we signed Giancarlo Stanton. You thought it was gonna be good, and it didn't work out. I feel like the Yankees have a lot to work on.
Dan's injury prone. No wonder it didn't work out.
So, what kind of grade would you give the Yankees?
C.
Average. Mike, what would you give the Mets at the trade deadline?
I would give them a B+.
And I would have to give the Phillies a C. I'll give the Phillies a C. For what
they did best.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say they overperformed at the trading deadline. They didn't have a lot to give up due to their minor league system being deprived of Major League Baseball ready talent. They only have a few players that other team may have been interested in, and the Phillies weren't interested in giving up those players like Abel, etc. So there was only a limited amount of things that Dave Dombrowski could do. So he went out. He addressed some of the Phillies' need. Defense, they brought in a good defensive shortstop. They brought in a reliever for the back end of the bullpen. They moved Ranger Suarez, who was their closer up until yesterday. They moved him back into the starting rotation. So we'll see how he does. He'll be pitching within the next couple of days. And supposedly he's only going to go about 3 innings. So we'll see what Suarez does. Their new pitcher is going to pitch this afternoon. So, again, we'll see how taxed the bullpen is going to be. So, like I said, I give the Phillies a C. Like I said, Dombrowski did what Dombrowski could do. The Phillies are behind the New York Mets. They've since gone out and lost twice to the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, dropping further behind the New York Mets. So, it doesn't look good for the Phillies to end their playoff drought this year. Mike, I'll go to you real quick for your NASCAR update.
NASCAR's off until next Sunday at the Glen.
Gotcha. And Jeff, since I got you back on, some news broke yesterday within the WWE. I just wanted to get your opinion on this. Bray Wyatt is now a free agent.
I am not surprised.
I am not surprised either. Apparently, if you go to pwinsider.com, it was due to a contractual issue over money. And they came to terms. Bray Wyatt's going to probably have his 90-day non-compete clause enforced. So I wouldn't expect to see Bray Wyatt show up anytime soon in AEW. But after those 90 days, you may have Bray Wyatt over in AEW. That could be a big get for those guys.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, WWE having money issues with contracts? Oh, God, no. If they ever pay their employees, better. But, I mean, they're losing people left and right. The ship is sinking, and McMahon doesn't even know what's going on.
I agree with you. And the other thing too, in a couple of weeks, you're going to have a AEW running a show in Chicago, and they did a promo this week, and it could appear that CM Punk is heading to AEW because of the promo that they had done this past week. So, I mean, within a couple of weeks, you could have CM Punk coming into AEW.
Yeah, look at the surprise on my face.
I mean, I know, I agree with you. I mean, this is like these could be game changers in terms of pro wrestling, in terms of AEW taking over for the WWE.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it right. They're doing it the way that technically it should be done. They're handling it properly, and WWE is scrambling, trying to find something to hold. They're trying to find their foothold, and they're losing it. And we saw this happen in about 2 years ago. We knew what would happen. They had a foothold. When they started doing the XLF and
XFL.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. I've already blocked it out of my mind, so it's been a while. So
I'm looking forward to its return. It was a credible league before COVID hit. So
and that's true. That's the thing that would have saved the WWE if that had actually stayed under them, and it was doing so well, and then halfway through, and he had no choice but to cut it, and now it's under somebody else.
The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, former wrestler.
It's going to be the next thing next to an NFL. They're going to have some competition now because of it. And now WWE is sinking, and we see this with all their talent jumping ship and going to AEW. So, it's just a matter of time. I'm sad to say I feel bad for WWE because
had Vince McMahon waited until 2022, I think XFL would have taken off.
True, but remember, a lot of people didn't know about 2020 and what was going to happen. So he had to take the chance. He had it. It was the right time, right after Super Bowl. It hit, it started, and then brick wall for everybody. Yeah, brick wall for everybody. So he had to take the chance now because look what's happening. Exactly the same thing that would have happened if he didn't take the chance. I mean, he was smart enough to bring it back and let the proper people do it. Well, guess what? Now he has the proper people. He has this nice nest egg that he has to give away. It's like, I made this. It's perfect, and I can't hold on to it anymore.
I mean, apparently, if you read the PWInsider.com story, apparently the person that's in charge of contracts, that's a really high-ranking person. She does not want any red on the WWE ledger at all. She wants to cut that out, and even minimally. And that's one of the things that led to them cutting Bray Wyatt is the fact that what his contract was supposedly going to be, and she doesn't want him. She doesn't want any red anywhere on the WWE ledger at all. And I think that is, and McMahon's riding with her and giving her this ultimate power over money. And I think that's going to kill him because you look at, AEW is going to be bringing in all these guys. They brought in the Big Show. They brought in Mark Henry. They may be bringing in CM Punk. It looks strongly in that direction. Why would you run a promo about CM Punk if you're not willing to bring him in, right? Why would you do that? They could also be bringing in Daniel Bryan. He's rumored to possibly be coming in. You look at the fact that they will probably reach out to Bray Wyatt to bring him in once his 90-day non-compete clause expires. And who did the WWE bring in? Bill Goldberg and John Cena. I think there's a little bit of a difference there, wouldn't you say, Jeff?
Oh yeah, it's like we talked about this in the past. Just having Goldberg show up, it's like, all right, they're obviously going to the well. They have no more ideas. They don't know what to do. They're scrambling. This is the person's trying to do the life preserver. It's like, here, put these on because we're going to need it. And I don't know if they're trying to get rid of the old talent
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, they can't pay them technically what they deserve.
But they could. They could. You know, that's the thing.
But in the long run, you have to look at it in the long run. If you can't continually pay them and the company's going down behind you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they're going to jump ship. I mean, if he's smart, truthfully, he should be looking at new talent, new people, up-and-comers, and trying to build that back up and get a nice, decent thing and come up with storylines that actually work, that aren't stupid. You know, that
if I were Vince McMahon in this situation, I'd be looking into a WWE minor league to develop the young talent.
Exactly, something like that to bring them up.
That's technically what NXT was supposed to be. You know, then all of a sudden it blew up and it's become, you know, like a third touring company now, because Triple H did so well with it. You know, I mean, technically that's what NXT is. You know, and then the guys get called up to either SmackDown or Raw, the main roster, and then their career just dies. You know, I mean, you see what happened, you know, to some of these guys once they get called up. Aleister Black got called up, and his career just kind of died. Now he's over in AEW, and he's feuding with one of the Rhodes brothers. You know,
Comes down to story. They don't.
Yeah.
They have XT, whatever. They have the good stories. Like Triple H is doing great, and then hey, okay, come over to the main leagues where the writers are not. I think they just throw it in a hat and go, okay, you're doing this. What? I came all the way up here to become a.
They need better writers.
Yeah.
It's like
totally agree, Mike.
Can I go back to the small league because it's better over there and have more fun? You know, that's what's happening. And it's like McMahon he sees it, but he doesn't want to accept it. And like you're saying, they're trying to cut cost to try to save the company in the long run. And you know, he might
another Toys R Us.
Yeah, he should just open up a bunch of mini golf courses. I mean, that's the way it's going.
I'm telling you, it's looking really bad for the WWE. It looks like there's going to be a cosmic shift towards AEW in the very near future, especially when CM Punk shows up, apparently, you know, within the next couple of weeks when they get out to Chicago.
You know what? They could call it Goldberg's mini golf. And then because
there you go.
He likes to show up everywhere and just have him go to all the courses and mess with people. So there you go. There's your win, McMahon. Take it. Go.
Yeah.
There you go.
WWE is turning into another Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Could be. Yep. So, Mike, anything that we missed during the show? Anything that we failed to cover?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Well, Jeff, it was great having you back on the show. Hopefully we can have you back on again next week. For Alex Vecchia, for Shane McGowan. Be sure and follow Shane McGowan, the coach, on social media as well. So for Alex, for Jeff Scott, for myself, we want everybody to have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the Olympics. Enjoy the rest of the sports games this week. And we will see you again next Sunday. Have a great week, everybody. And we will see you right back here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show.